Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining our another edition of ReactPlay Live. So good to see you. Whoever there in the call, our folks will be joining. Later point of time. So I have a very special person today. I have Santosh Yadav. Hi, Santosh, and
Hi.
we're really going to enjoy this session because I'm going to learn a lot from Santosh. But before I go into an introduction of Santosh and kind of give him the complete stage to kind of talk about, a quick words about like React Play and what it is. So React Play is an open source platform for any web developer to kind of try out React.js, and that's the motto with that we have started. But the way it is going right now is like you can actually come and exercise full stack development. So it's not limited to React.js only. You can actually, if you are a UX person, if you are someone who is like on the database or as a GraphQL person or the React.js or Next.js, come and we have things for you. We also have like no code, low code contributions. Like you can actually write articles, you can make our documentation better. We are building the doc site, you can make the analytics better. So whatever the ways you can actually contribute to the open source project, it's for you. So just go and join. I'll be sharing some of the links, the way that you can actually join to our Discord, and that's where we can actually start talking about. I'll be sharing those links in between sessions and as and when we actually progress talking. Okay, so without wasting any further time, let me introduce my guest today. And the guest is Santosh Yadav. He's a senior software engineer at Celonis, a GD for Angular, GitHub Star. He was the first GitHub Star from India. It's like a proud moment being an Indian. Introducing him for this one. He's also an Auth0 ambassador. He loves contributing to Angular's ecosystem, open source contributors, a content creator. He is also the author of Ngx-Builders package. We'll be talking about that. He's running his Tech Talk show, and I was fortunate to part of in one of the episode of that. It was quite good, quite fun, having it. And he has tons of industry expertise already. And very recently, I find him like a global speaker. He's been speaking in conferences, traveling, can see it on Twitter, kind of seeing his journey alive is like very inspiring. Santosh, welcome to React Play Live.
Thank you, Tapas. Thank you for the invitation. So glad to be here.
Cool. So I kind of introduce you with probably more monotone fashion is like how people will introduce someone is like in any such live. But I want to go a little bit deeper. I want to kind of you to introduce yourself like Santosh Yadav, maybe back many years back, and the story of Santosh Yadav, what Santosh Yadav is today. So if you can kind of give a glimpse of that through your introduction, like who you are, what is where are you from, what's your background, your study, your job, your all open source contributions. Let's get started with that.
Great. I mean, very broad question. Okay. So yeah, I'll try to summarize it up. I mean, so hey everyone, as Tapas already mentioned, I'm Santosh Yadav, and so actually I basically come from Mumbai. So I was born and brought up in Mumbai. I lived in Mumbai for like around 30 years before I moved to Pune. So I did my all education, schooling, everything in Mumbai actually. And believe me, till the 10th standard, I mean, I never went outside my city, which was Mulund. Not alone. I mean, of course, I used to go outside with family, but never alone. So when I joined my diploma for the first year, and I was like traveling to another city in Navi Mumbai, which was Airoli. It was like not far away, but it was really scary moment for me because after like 15 years, right now, almost 15 years, right? Almost 15 years, you like travel to another city. So it was some scary moment for me. Yeah, but yeah, I mean, so I completed my bachelor's back in 2008. So I've been working since 2008 as a developer, and I started as a .NET developer actually. So initially in my career, I actually did Windows development. So I used to
Mm.
create Windows apps, and then eventually started doing ASP.NET, MVC, web APIs, web forms, not web forms, yeah, web forms was ASP.NET web forms. So then started like WCF, web services, all those things. And then I got bored. I was like, okay, let's explore something else. So I figured out, okay, the Angular is nice. So I started doing Angular, started teaching Angular, then started doing open source contributions, started doing community contributions, and yeah, now I'm in Germany. I moved to Germany last year, and now I work with Celonis.
Awesome, awesome journey. Really great. So today our topic that we kept is like, let's talk about dev career. It's like developer's career, right? So
Mhm.
you have been through like what 15 plus of experience. I have also kind of similar kind of journey, being that much. So we know like the time that we had started and what was available at that time. So let's not get back to past too much. Let's talk about today. What do you think that what kind of opportunities that developer has today for the career oriented opportunity, and are there something that we knowingly or unknowingly not encashing, not utilizing? What's your opinion?
One of the biggest advantage which we have today as a developer is, of course, we can like put our work in public, and you can show that you are already like applicable, or you're already eligible for a job, right? It was something
Mm.
which was not possible in our days, right? Tapas, there
Yeah,
was no YouTube. I mean, there was no GitHub. It was actually just
social
starting
media.
up. Yeah, I mean, there was no social media basically, and even GitHub was not that big that time.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
open source was like, okay, there was open source, of course, but no one knew how to do it, and that was like very limited. Now it's like everything is available. You have tools available for free. Even college, the best thing which college students can do is actually get into this GDSC programs, or whatever MLSA program, right? So those programs give
Mm.
you access to all those paid tools, which probably we don't we cannot afford it.
It
Believe
cannot
me, I
afford.
mean,
Yes.
yeah. So those are the tools which you get. You can explore those. You can start your career way before you actually come into the corporate world, right? I mean, you can start your career actually when you are in college. You can build your portfolio, and then once, I think, by the time you're already in your final year, I think you'll have something good already in the hand. But you have to utilize it, right? I mean, you cannot just stand and say, okay, I mean, it's okay, it's free. Don't think like that. I mean, those are really, what you can say, valuable things which you can do while in college. That's him.
Yeah, this is very valuable point. It's like today the opportunities are like in abundance. It's like you have to identify and you have to kind of act on it and you have to be on it, right? So that's what you're also recommending. So I have a follow-up question. Is like whenever I meet a lot of developers on coffee chat or at direct meetup and things like that, one question comes is like, how can I be that top 10%, that good developer? How can I be that niche developer that
Mhm.
people will know like me the person who can actually do really good job, and thus I get more good opportunities, maybe remote work, lot of I can earn money and things like that. So in my opinion, it is definitely not a like overnight journey, and it is not something that just like that can happen. I want to know like what kind of discipline or what kind of structure or what a person can do to get there, to enjoy being there, that level of stuff.
I think being consistent, that's the only thing which you can do. It's not. I mean, being once I say being consistent, it does not mean that you have to have 100 or 300 days of streak on open source. Don't do that. I mean, being consistent is, of course, you do something with the passion, right? You do it
Mm.
like every week, every month. You're still doing it. For example, if you're doing open source, if you're doing, let's say, content creation, be consistent. I mean, that's going to pay off. I mean, don't like I have seen developers, right? I mean, they will just come once in a year to earn some t-shirt. They do some PRs, and then they're nowhere to be like seen for the next 1 year. So that's not something which is going to help you. Like one or two contributions on open source, and then you call yourself open source contributor, or you just created one two blog post. It's not going to help you. You have to be consistent. It's like, of course, as I said, being consistent means does not mean that you have to do it every month or every week, right? Because sometime you work on something which takes months, but you
Yeah.
you are at least doing it. Or or for example, blog posts, right? I mean, Tapas has been writing so many blog posts. I'm still amazed how he does that, but uh, for me it's not possible, right? So I have my own stuff, right? So the other
Yeah.
thing is, just don't try to copy someone else. like have your own journey, have your own schedule, I would say, have your own path, how you are going to do things. If you try to copy blindly someone, this is not going to help you. Probably you'll give up, you'll have burnout, because you cannot do that. I mean, believe me, if I have to write 100 blog posts, I will probably give up and I'll stop doing it. So I do my own stuff which I love. Like for example, I keep
Yeah.
doing public speaking, keep doing live stream. But if you see, I don't like, for example, this live streams, right? You probably won't see me doing live stream for a month, but in that time I'm probably doing some blog post or doing some public speaking. So I try to adjust in that way, that okay, what I'm going to enjoy at this moment. That's what I do.
Yeah. So I think first you spoke about the opportunities, and then you actually talking about the consistency. So opportunity and making it consistently trying to grab those opportunities kind of going to take you there. That's a very very great point. Um, Now the same on the same thing, the things come is like there are many people trying this. There are many people maybe trying
Hmm.
different angles. Like they're trying side hustles. They're going to cracking interviews. They're trying to get references, establish them in social media. People are trying, and there are a lot of people who are failing, or there are a lot of people who may be failing, getting rejections and things like that, right? Now, with your experience, I'm sure that your life also is not as smooth. You also would have failed. You also would have got rejected. You also would have got distressed. What do you suggest to developers, like in their career, like how they handle these rejections and the failures?
uh, this is something which you have to understand, right? So that you are probably not a good fit for every company. You may be a good developer, you
Hmm.
may be a great developer, but
Hmm.
probably the vibes don't match, right? I mean, the manager thinks that okay, probably he's like too good to be in our team. Maybe it can actually uh, break the balance between the teams. Probably that might be the reason. Probably like they may think that okay, something, maybe like sometimes it's a ego issue as well, right? Someone don't want to actually hire someone who is like so much advanced in, or so much has so much advanced knowledge, that okay, they think that they can lose their own place. A lot of toxicity as well. I mean, a lot of rejections happen due to that as well. I mean, I have seen those kind of rejections in India, that people in interview, they just try to prove that they know everything. I mean, you don't know anything. I
Ah,
mean, you are just
okay.
so that's
Yeah,
something which I have also seen early in India. So I never took like rejections very personally. I don't. I mean, uh, good thing about now is like I don't look for a job. I just like okay, if I need job, I just like ask if someone is hiring, and then it works out for me. I try to work for people or work with people I know already, or I have a
yeah.
good like I have a good experience when we are doing the interview. Otherwise, I try to avoid this. I mean, of course, rejections do happen in this case as well, because of course you have to go through interview. It's not like I
Yes.
know you and you know me and then let's
You
work
give the
together.
offer, yeah. Yeah.
Exactly. It happens sometime. It happens sometime, of course. But sometime, of course, you have to go through interview process and it doesn't work out sometime, right? I mean, they probably uh, need the knowledge which is good fit for them, and you don't have that knowledge. That's perfectly fine, right? I mean, you cannot be good at everything. You
Yeah.
cannot, right? I mean, there are so many things to learn. So I mean, with the rejections, right? I mean, if you're getting rejected from a good company, I think you can take that as a good feedback, that okay, what where I lacked. Because many companies do provide a good feedback, like they have a good interview process in the place where they will tell you okay,
Mm.
these are the things which we are looking for, and probably you do not match these criterias. So work on that. I mean, I remember, I mean, when I was in Mumbai and I was like out. I was working for a startup for 5 years, and then I thought like, let's move on, let's look for a new job, and I started getting rejection from everywhere. I mean, of course, because I was doing some things which was good for my
Which is,
company,
yeah,
but
yeah, yeah.
I was not doing something which is good for my career. So, anyways, that those are the things which happens, and then you have to make sure that you always go ahead and see okay where the market is, what people are hiring for. The good way to judge that is, of course, give an interview probably every year. I mean, even though you don't want to change the job, just to check the market with on in which direction it is going. Just try to give an interview for every year, like so you will get some idea that okay, what people are hiring. For example, there was a wave where there were so many .NET openings in India. So
Mm.
of course, that's why I started as a .NET developer, because one of my friends said, okay, .NET has a good scope now in India. And then I was like, okay, of course, I love the language as well. I still love C Sharp, so one of my favorite languages. But yeah, then I realized that okay, now it's time. I think it's time I should explore something else. I mean, then I moved to Angular. So rejections, of course. I mean, don't take it personally. Just maybe, as I said, right? Maybe sometimes it's great that you got rejected. That might be a very toxic workplace as well. So take the feedback. I mean, take the learnings which you have from the rejections and go ahead and apply, and then like improve yourself. It's not like it's not the end of the world, right? I mean, that's not the
Yep.
only company where you want to apply for, or
Yeah.
it's not like even though you get rejected from, let's say, you have your dream job at Google and then you got rejected. It's not like you cannot apply again. Take that feedback. Go ahead, learn again, revise things, and again apply again after 6 months. I mean, they keep hiring.
Yes, right. Yeah, I think you made a very good point. Like the rejection also kind of push you towards self retrospection sometime. Like you can actually sit and think about it is not always your fault. And that's what I also feel like, with my experience. It's not my fault always, like, for being rejected. And it's really great, like if you can seek feedback. Even in interview, Santosh, you told about that, like many good companies give feedback even if maybe that interviewer is little bit introvert, is not giving feedback, there's no point, you go and ask for feedback. Like you
Mm.
can always ask, like how I did, what do you think about me, and people will be candid to give you feedback. One good thing I learned from you is like keep giving interviews even if you're not joining, to sharp your skill basically. That's where it will be like very useful. Yeah. Okay, cool, cool. Awesome points. So, to folks who are watching it live, please start asking questions in the comment section. I'm going to bring those questions, in between, and I'll ask Santosh to kind of respond to that. One question is already there. Maybe we can answer that, then I'll go back to our discussion.
Yeah, sure.
So, Shivraj is asking, Santosh sir, what is benefit you think from working from Germany or Europe? Leaving India and going to Germany, what is the benefit?
Uh, believe me, I mean, I'm not here for any benefit apart from my family. So it's different for everyone, right? I mean, I think I had a great job in India as well. I was doing consulting. I never overworked myself apart from, of course, when I was doing the startup. I mean, so when I was at startup, I used to work like crazy hours, but I stopped doing that. I mean, it's like, of course, you can have a good life anywhere. I mean, even in India or Europe, if you learn how to say no. So this is something which
Tough
is,
skill, a tough
yeah,
skill.
yeah, true. So this is something which I learned very early in my career. Not very early. I mean, after 8 years, it's not very early. But when I was working at a startup, I used to like do this crazy hours, like work for 4 days, 5 days. I'm in office. I am not coming back home. Then I realized, okay, now this is not going to sustain. So when I moved to Pune, the first thing which I told myself is no. I mean, I'm not going to
Mm.
do this anywhere. So I started, believe me, I mean, so a lot of people get surprised when I say that I have never worked after more than 8 hours after 2016. So which is hard to accept in India, in a country like
Yes,
India, where
yes.
you are always being asked, okay, why you are not working more. So, but I never did that because, of course, uh, there was a moment where I could have said yes, and then I could have actually started working again. Then I said no. I stood my ground. I was like, okay, no, not happening, not happening. And then I had to. It's and the good thing is most of the time I was working with some clients from outside India. They respect your office hours. They will okay, not you ask you to work more than 8 hours. Never. I mean, even Fridays are chill. So when I joined Deutsche Bank, I mean, I remember second week of my job, and of course, then I had to interact with everyone from India, and then they like one of my manager asked me, "Can I finish it today?" And it was already 7:30 p.m. My and why you if you're saying okay, why it's 7:30 p.m. and what you're doing in office? So my shift was 12 to 9, so that's why. Otherwise, of course, my 8 hours, so 6 p.m. I'm home. So I said, okay, I said no, it's not going to happen. And then he asked me again. He thought that okay, I'll give up and do that. I said it will take 2 days. And then he said, no, can we do it today? I was like, no, it will take 2 days. And then I said, okay, I'll see if I can do it in 2 days. I changed my tone. I said earlier I said 2 days. Then I said okay, if I'll see if I can do it in 2 days. And then he thought like okay, if I ask him again, probably he'll make it three. So he said okay, okay, do it in your time. And that was the time after that. Never. I mean, but till the time I worked for Deutsche Bank, he never asked me to work for more than 8 hours. And then my manager got changed. And this is also something which really depends on the kind of manager you have. My manager was really great. I mean, he never asked me to actually even come on weekends, even though another team needs it. He said, no, I'm not going to ask my team to commit because you are the one who screwed up your job. I mean, you should have actually finished your job in weekdays. It's not my team's responsibility to come
Mhm.
in weekend and help you. So I think if you're looking for a work-life balance, I mean, yeah, this is something which is better in Europe uh, because of course no one expects you to work for more than 8 hours. But you can actually get this in India as well. As I said, you just have to stand your ground. I mean, you just have to learn how to say no, and then it's like there is no difference. I think there is no difference between Europe and India when it comes to salary now. I mean, you can make more salary or you can make more money in India now as compared to Europe,
Mm.
because if you see the rents are like totally crazy here, right? I mean, some places people pay 50% of their salary as a rent. So, which is of course, and you might be thinking, okay, how much you save? Probably not
Yeah.
everyone is saving, but they are not here probably for money. They are here for probably work-life balance, or they are here for family. For example, for example, my choice was to come here for my family, so I can have better life for my daughter. I mean, she can have a good education without much competition. I mean, of course, we all did. We all went through that phase, right? I mean, when we
Yes.
were doing studies, there was so much competition. I mean, we knew that okay, if we don't do this, probably we will not succeed in life. But of course, I don't want to see the same thing with my daughter. I mean, I don't want to see her struggling as well. What we did. So if I have a choice, if I have an option actually to give a life where she don't have to do all this, then of course I will take it as an option, or I will go for that. So that's why I'm here. But decide why you want to move. If money,
Yeah.
stay in India. I'm still telling you. But if you want like better life for your family, probably maybe. I mean, if you have a good job where you still have, you can also manage all those things. It's nothing. I mean, you can still stay in India. But if you think that okay, there is enough competition, you don't want your daughter or you don't want your son to go through it. I mean, yeah, Europe is much better, right? You have free education as well. Not everywhere, probably, but at least in Germany, you have free education. I think there are a few more countries where you have free education. Yeah, and less competition, as I said. Yeah,
Cool.
and
Cool.
recently,
Yeah.
Ankur also wrote a tweet about it,
Mm.
explaining why he chose it. So, of course, it was his point of view why he did that. But yeah,
Cool. Yeah, it's very good insight. And I think it's a great question because many will be wondering, like, what makes it? It's just not about kind of leaving your country and settling to another country. There must be a reason for doing that. I think that's very important. I want to get into one discussion. It's like when I travel to college, maybe do some workshop and talk, meet a lot of students. One disappointingly, one thing that come out is like, sir, I'm from a tier 3 city, a tier 3 college. I'm not from a tier 1 college. Will I make it? Is it like, am I going to stand in the competition, right? I have probably my version of that answer, but I want to hear from you, like, how much of this tier 1, tier 3 things, that mindset matters?
believe me, it doesn't matter. No one asked me which college I studied from. I mean, I even don't mention my college anymore. So, so, I mean, to give you an idea, my college was like when I was doing my bachelor's. It was, of course, it was from Mumbai University, and it was the very new college, right? I mean, we don't have. There was no what you can say, the placement and everything. There was nothing. I mean, there was no placement as well. We survived. Like we did better in our lives, and I don't care about my college anymore. I mean, why you should blame them, right? I mean, they are there to make money, that's it. I mean, in
Mm.
India, education is all about making money. There are good teachers, yes, take advantage of them, learn from them, but don't trust on your college like they are going to help in your career or they are going to do something for you. No, they are money making businesses, that's it.
Yeah. So I think this is what all of us need to understand, specifically the students, is like the differentiation between tier 3 college and tier 1 college is that mindset. I think that's the mindset that you are actually living with. You need to come out of that mindset. You do the things we spoke about, some of the opportunities we spoke about, the things that actually take you apart. Once you start doing that, that comparison itself won't come in your mind. Today, Santosh is saying that he doesn't care about his college because he is able to reach there by doing all this opportunity, by encashing all these opportunities. You should start doing. Yes, it's a good point. Okay, so getting back to some of the other questions that folks have on our chat, and I'm going to project them. About the internship, job, web developer as a fresher, I think if you take this question in another way around, like I'm a fresher, I want to embark my journey in the industry. I probably don't have much in the campusing. How am I going to go about it? Is internship good? Web development, how do I approach?
Like, if you see, I mean, how to get into internship, of course, you have, as we are actually discussing in the start, right? I mean, you have access to all these programs where you can learn things for free, put your portfolio, create your portfolio, and that helps, right? I mean, there are a lot of companies, a lot of startups which hires based on your GitHub contributions, right? And
Yes.
even there are projects like GitHub projects which are self a company, right? They're like building their company in open, so you can also contribute to those projects and then you can get hired probably from there as well. I mean, why just look at this internship? Like, look for a big picture, right? I mean, like, probably joining as an intern and then probably getting hired as a full-time employee there, and you can do all this by just putting your work in public. I mean, go ahead and contribute to some projects. I think one thing which I have seen is there are so many companies when it comes to this infrastructure, right? Infrastructure and platform thing. So you have so many companies building their product based on top of Kubernetes. So you can probably go ahead and see there are many repositories which are available. You can contribute there and probably get hired. I mean, you don't have to. As I said, I mean, there are enough opportunities. You just have to go ahead and grab them. That's it.
Yeah, yeah, very valid point. There are a lot of opportunities. You need to kind of you have to make sure that you tell the world like what you are doing, what you are learning, build those connections, build those networks, outside. That's going to help you a lot. Show authentic interest to people work whom you really admire. Let them be in your circle. Once you start getting into circle, let them be in your circle. You will actually get started with it. Okay, before we take more questions, I just want to tell that ReactPlay is an open source project. You can always come, you can always join, you can make your code, low code, no code contributions. And if you want to check it out, please join the Discord. I just post a public comment. You can actually join the Discord and you can actually take from there. Okay, I'll get to the next question. It's about the mindset. What's the mindset that someone should have while learning web development?
Interesting question. I think mindset is always should be always to learn. As I always mention, that don't get attached to a framework or a library. I mean, this is something which I have seen, which is really common in today's world, because just because you follow some influencer who keeps talking about framework one is good and framework two is bad, then you also get that mindset. But don't do that. I mean, as a fresher or as a new developer, new web developer, your mindset should be to learn everything and see what works for you. If someone else is going to take a decision for your future, I mean, it's not worth it, believe me,
Yeah,
and you will not probably not like it. Just think in this way, right? I mean, let's say you get hired from your college and someone asks you to do testing and you don't like testing, so what you will do? You will just leave the job. I mean, this is the same thing which will happen in case, let's say, you just listen to influencer one and says, oh, this library is good, and then probably you get a good opportunities, like, okay, someone comes with an opportunity. Hey, we have a good opportunity and we just need someone to write Vue.js, and then you say, no, I love React or I love Angular, and you lose that opportunity, and then you probably think, oh, why I
very
did that,
valid point.
right? I mean, so don't do that. I mean, that's how social media is. It's very fake. People are there just to promote the things which pays for them. Many of them just do it because, of course, they have their entire career based on that tool, right? If that tool goes away, probably they will lose their own, or they will lose a lot of money because they are really invested into it. So don't
Hmm.
follow anyone blindly. I mean, choose for yourself, explore everything. It's why settle to web development, right? I mean, explore more. I mean, there are so many technologies. There are so many languages. You have Golang, .NET, Java. I mean, learn everything when you are exploring. Because once you are on a job, believe me, once you're on a job. I mean, me and Tapas, we have been here. Most of the time, we don't get to work on what we love. So we
That's
have to just
frustrating. That's frustrating.
so we have to just do it because of course my company is actually using that thing, so we don't have any choice. So don't have this mindset. And then probably for example in my career, right, so I was doing a Windows development so till 3 years. And then eventually my manager came and asked me, hey, would you like to do some web development, because I think you have been doing great job here, and I think this is the new project which we are starting, and then probably you can be a good fit. And that's how it started for me, and that's how it started, like that's how I wrote jQuery for the first time in my life. So I was always open to it, like to learning something new, right? So that's how things happen. And then I moved from like .NET world, which was like probably the backend stuff, and then probably moved into front end because I wanted to explore. I wanted to see, okay, what I'm learning now, or what I'm enjoying now. And sometimes it happens that you are able to turn your passion or the things which you love into a career. And
Yeah.
sometimes it may not, right? As I said, it's
Mm.
something which you have to deal with. I mean,
Mm.
work till you actually succeed. That's what I will suggest. I mean, for me as well, I mean, I was doing dot Angular JS before Angular, and then I kept looking for the opportunity, and then I got something good. So but you have to always keep exploring. You have to always be an, what you can say, that you have to always have a curious mindset, okay, how things work, rather than, okay, I know this thing works this way. So yeah, that's something which I will suggest, because this is going to help you in your career in future.
Awesome, awesome. Folks who are listening us live, we have few more questions to kind of go. But if you're enjoying, post some likes. Let us know that you're enjoying it. Post your questions so that we can actually take up and discuss. I want to get into a discussion about open source. Santosh is like, I want you to tell you from your experiences, like how open source contribution can be effective to someone's career and how they get started with it.
Yeah, I mean, so how can it help you? Of course, I'll give you in my examples. For example, I started contributing to Angular in back in 2019, and it helped me to get the recognition in the community, right? One thing which
Hmm.
I've been like talking again and again is like putting your work in the open, so you don't have to prove yourself that, okay, you know stuff, that, okay, I've already done this. I mean, this. I mean, this is my work. So that's something which but this is something where actually open source helped me a lot. And then of course getting recognized, right? Getting recognized for your contribution, for example, becoming a Google developer expert, which I had never thought. I mean, of course, I was not even aware of what GDE is before I started contributing. So I was like, okay, I'm loving this. I mean, this is something which I think I have never done in my career, and this is a phase where I'm really enjoying it. So I kept doing it, and then I became a GD. I became a GitHub Star, and then of course, and once people saw my work, I don't have to look for a job anymore. So most of the time, it works is like, okay, I mean, yeah, would you like to work with us? That's it. This is the thing which happens once you are able to prove that, okay, you can do things, like you can. And that is something which can happen once you put your work in public. I mean, and open source is a great way to get into it. Now, how to get started into open source? This is something, believe me, I'm writing a blog post. I think this is going to be one of the biggest blog posts I have ever written, because I've been writing it for a month now and it's nowhere finished. So, and it's all about contributing to open source. But I'll give you some pointers. For example, I always give different suggestions to different kind of people, because for me, people who want to contribute to open source, there are like two categories. For example, someone who has never contributed, someone who has never used any programming language, and they are like new to technology and they want to contribute. So my suggestion is, go slow, learn something. For example, you learn JavaScript, you learn TypeScript, and then go ahead and see there are some projects which can help you in learning. And this is where documentation comes into the picture, right? So
Yep,
let's say
yep.
if you start from JavaScript, of course Mozilla Doc is open source now. You can go ahead and contribute to the Mozilla Docs in case you find something which is not easy to understand, and you can actually write it in your own way. You can try to explain it in your own way. If it's even if it is not like accepted as a PR, you can actually write or publish it as a blog post, because you learn something new. Let's say then you did some JavaScript, TypeScript, and then you said, okay, now it's enough. I want to go ahead and pick up some framework. You went to, for example, let's say you went to React or Angular or Vue, any framework, then again, this documentation is your first source where you can actually start contributing with. Even my first PR for Angular was a doc, so it was a doc contribution. So
Mine also first was doc.
yeah. So most of us, right? So if you see, most of the developers, most of the open source contributors, the first PR is always a doc. That's how they started. And of course, now you are into docs. No, so you started learning, let's say, any framework, and you started getting into more. You started getting more comfortable with the APIs they have. Then start thinking about, okay, if you can fix some bugs, you can, or you can think, you came across some bugs when you were trying to use that stuff. Go ahead and raise issues. Raising issues is also a contribution. A lot of people don't know that somehow, but raising issue is also open source contribution. It gets counted as open source contribution. So you can actually start with that, and then of course, once you think, okay, now I can also fix this, just go ahead and raise a PR, right? And that's for someone who is starting. And then there is another category where the developer, as a developer, you already know that, okay, I've been working, for example, in my case, right, I was already working in Angular, so I was aware that what I have to do. I want to contribute to Angular. That was my thought, right? I mean, because I already knew Angular. So if you are already experienced person, just go ahead and pick up the library or framework which you are already using, because you're already comfortable using it. Best way, even if you cannot just go ahead and open a PR for Angular, best way, just look at your package.json and you will find tons of dependencies there. Just go ahead and check any library. If they need some help, there are open issues, or if you think you can improve the documentation there, start from there. And eventually, like, of course, once you keep opening the PRs, you will get comfortable, more comfortable, like how you can contribute more to the open source. The first PR is always hard, believe me. Once you open your first PR and it gets accepted, it really becomes easy. So choose where you belong to. I mean, now as a developer who is already also experienced, it may be possible that you want to explore new technology. That's absolutely fine, right? Then you are into category one, where you are exploring something new. Again, start with the docs, start reading, see if you can improve, and then just keep, it's a cycle, right? I mean, every experienced developer will be a fresher at some point of time. Believe me.
Yeah, yeah, very good point. I think these are really golden points, and it's coming from your working experience with open source, right? So these are proven. So yeah, I want people to kind of focus on that and start your open source journey. We have a question. It's from Shakya. He's asking like, Shakya is having around 2.5 years of experience in IT support. Is it too much time taken to start a front end dev role? I'm already aware of the Mun stack, so he's on the React side. Um, is it okay for him or is it easy for him? How is it going to be?
I mean, it's never late. I mean, believe me, it's never late to start doing or learning development. You are already into IT, right? In some way. So you're in IT support, so you know computers. That's what you need, right? And with Free Code Camp, like, you have access to all the material you need, like, for free. So there are so many contents available on Free Code Camp. You don't even need to pay. So start from there. I mean, start slow, as I said. I mean, it's not something especially in India, as most of us, we cannot afford doing this, that, okay, leave job and then do just study for 6 months and come and start looking for a job. This is something which is not possible in India, right, for most of us. So start doing it in your free time. I mean, it's, as I said, it's never late to start something. For example, for me also, right, I was doing Windows development for 3 years before I started doing the web development. It was not like web development, but it was a full stack development, which I started. But yeah, I mean, you have to be just curious that you want to learn it. You just have to be passionate about it. That, okay, I really want to learn this thing, and then that will help. Otherwise, of course, if you think that, okay, do I have time to, I'll do it later, then that's not a motivation, or not, that's not a passion. It's something like probably a FOMO you have, that, okay, my
Yeah,
friends are doing it, and then I should do it. So that's something which will never work out, believe me.
yeah. I think that point you made is like it's never too late. It's a very valid point. It's like each of us are like inventing things. Even for me, I spent 15 years, 16 years in an organization, and then I planned it for 3 years being in that organization, like what I'm going to do next. It was really difficult for me to do, like, complete devoting myself to content, community, and all this. I've never done all this thing before. I'm doing it. It's never too late. It's never too late. Shakya, try it. Okay. The question that I have to you is, like, now you have a good amount of experience. It's going to be probably 2 decades of experience. What motivates you?
Uh, that's a good question. I think more than anything, like I was really passionate about programming when I started my career. So and now it's more about community. That okay, I love like contributing back. I love sharing my knowledge. I think that's one thing. And yeah, I mean there are so many what you can say. There are so many problems to be solved, right? So of course, when you see those, oh, okay, I can do something new, and it really depends upon your job as well. Right now, my job is really great, so I can do what I want to. I mean, I can choose my own task. Okay, this is something which is probably going to help my company, so I can choose this and do this. So I'm not restricted by any means, right?
Hmm.
So that helps me more to like, okay, I have to do some work tomorrow. Then, of course, I can manage my own time. Work like now working from home, so I can decide okay whether I want to like work from 12 to 9 or I want to like prefer work like 9 to 6. So that's up of course up to me. But more of this is like passion about the community now, because I've been doing this for 4 years, where I started like doing open source contribution, then started writing blog posts, creating contents. So and once your job is aligned with your like passion, I think it helps a lot.
Yeah, very good, very good, very good. I have a question from Abhishek. Interesting one. Like, he has 2 years of experience as a Java developer. Is it possible through open source or other projects to switch his job, say as a React developer, even if you don't have a professional experience? I mean, you can take it like, instead of React, it could be Angular or any other technology that you're working on some other technology through open source. Can you change your career to something else?
So why not? I mean, to give you an idea, worked as a .NET developer for 9 years before I moved into Angular. So if I can do it, I mean, anyone can do it. It's not a logic, right? So I mean, as I said, as I mentioned, like when it came to contributing to open source, as of course at one point of time you will be a fresher, and this is your
Mhm.
time, right? I mean, if you think okay, you want to go back and learn React, of course you have to have that fresher mindset. Okay, leave everything aside, now I have to start learning React. So where you will go to the documentation. It's not like you can just go on first day and open a PR in React. It's not possible. I mean, it was not possible for me when I did I think I did Angular for 2 years before I made my first contribution. So invest some time learning and then see how you can, let's say, probably you can start with documentation. You can probably build something of your own. For example, I know Tapas has built a ReactPlay, which he was able to actually make it very famous as well. So probably you can also have some ideas around it, and then you can scale it up, or you can get involved into the existing community, right? I mean,
Yeah.
Tapas has been running this ReactPlay community. You can probably join this community and learn from the best, right? Why to struggle alone? I mean, there are so many people like Tapas who's been helping so many people out there. So take help when you're learning something new.
Yeah, yeah. The learning in the community, I think that's where open source world or open source project plus a community is a big boon. It's like you are contributing to open source, plus you have other people to seek inspiration from, ask questions, get help. I think it's a wonderful thing that people should try out, obviously. We are getting towards the end of it. The last question that I have, unless somebody else in the meantime pitch in more questions, um, what are the things that a developer should look forward to upskill themselves? What are those ingredients for upskilling?
I think one of the thing is, of course, whenever you are working at some company, always see the market condition as well, where your market is going, right? So, for example, there might be possibility that a technology which was really in boom probably may lose some of the popularity, and then there is something new which is coming up and people are adopting that. So always have that check.
Hmm.
And apart from that, I think this is something which we all have to understand, that uh, working at a company is good for company, not for you. Probably they are going to ask you to do stuff which is good for them, not for you. So don't think that okay, whatever you're doing for company is enough for your career. No, it is never the case. So always keep exploring. As I said, to get the reality check, always like give at least one interview in a year. This is something which I think most many of the experienced people will suggest you. Give one experience a year to check where you are right now and what is the reality in the
Mhm.
other companies, that okay, what they're using and how the things are getting changed. Apart from that, of course, get involved into the community. I mean, there are so many communities which where people are learning together. They are like exploring new things together, and it will help you. I mean, it will help you to upskill yourself as well, because if you have questions, if you get any issues, you have so many other people to help you. Like it is not 90s, right? It is not early 2000 where you don't have internet at home and then you are stuck somewhere, you are banging your head and you don't know how to fix this thing. Now, I mean, everything is an open. Every there are some communities built on everything. You can get help from them. So utilize that those channels which you have now, and utilize the people. Like Tapas is there. I know there are so many other developers who has been doing some amazing stuff. So learn from them. And yes, always like all you can, of course, everyone has Twitter nowadays. You can ask questions in case you get some stuck somewhere. And the biggest thing is don't have FOMO. Don't do something because you just had FOMO. That okay,
Very
my
much.
friends are doing this and I'm not doing this. Don't do that. I mean that will not help. Decide something for your own. Don't let anyone else decide for you. So yeah, these are a few pointers which I wanted to give.
Great point. Great point. I think this upskilling and staying relevant is so important in today's era. I mean, we are seeing a lot of layoffs and things like that happening, right, over the world. And I somehow feel like the more the year progresses, these are the things going to stay, even maybe more. So staying relevant and upskilling is actually going to give you next job faster. You cannot avoid a layoff, but you can get the job faster, right? So it's very very valid point that the points that you told. All right, so this is great. Thank you very much, Santosh, for coming to our React Live, and it is a very special live because we just completed 1 year as a community. We started very small on
Congratulations.
on this. Thank you on Discord and any other places, and now we kind of close to 1,000 member community on Discord and like 3,000 members on Twitter, close to 1,000 on LinkedIn. So we see like people are kind of liking being in part of the community, and we are growing. So we want to do for developers. Very honestly, we did a workshop very recently, going to a college, free workshop, teaching students about how to connect to the industry and things like that. We want to do more such things. The team is really really pumped up for doing this. So it's a very special one, and you made your time to join this one. We are really really honored and felt really good about it.
Okay, thank you so
Any
much. I
any
mean,
last closing notes? Yeah.
no, I mean, it was an honor. I mean, I was not aware that it is 1 year anniversary, so it's like really, I mean, great stuff. I mean, we have been doing so. Nothing. I mean, I think we have already given so many pointers. I think
Yeah.
for everyone listening, just go ahead and like go through the pointers and self-reflect that what you want to do with your own career or what you want to do in your future, and then just reflect on that and then see if I mean if we can be of any help. Of course, reach out. I'm available on Twitter. Tapas is available on Twitter and Discord, so you can always reach out, ask questions. Don't be scared to ask questions. We are human being as well. Once we get time, of course, we will reply.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. So, if you're watching it later, you can find all our social handles in the description of this video. Please follow Santosh everywhere. See his streams. I really like them. I enjoyed being part of in one of the stream and would like to do it in the future as well. Go and subscribe to his channel, his community over there. Follow him on Twitter, LinkedIn. Learn from him and join ReactPlay if you're interested. So thank you very much, everyone, for taking your time and joining this. Hope you learned something from here. See you next time very soon. Thank you very much. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.